Hi everyone, let me just get set up here. I wanted to do a quick video on this spirituality seminar that I went to over the weekend. I wanted to do this because I found it very interesting, and I had some pointers for any of you who might be willing to go to something like this. This happened to be at the Javits Center, and it was a 2-day event. I also went to a separate thing on Friday. But at the Javits Center, right off the bat, be prepared to sit for several hours without being able to get up, okay? Some of those speakers were going on for 3 hours, and you're in folding chairs. Now, they're padded, but that doesn't keep your butt from hurting or your back from hurting after 2 hours, and you're just like, oh, I can't even take this anymore. Also, don't forget to bring food and drinks, or you'll probably starve after you wait in these huge long lines at Javits Center. But besides that, I was a little surprised at the experience. I went there thinking that I was going to be seeing some of my favorite authors. I was going to get, some incredible insight on something, be inspired. I didn't have that experience. I really didn't, not until the very end. And actually, some of the authors that I was the most excited to see were the ones who left me the most cold. I, stood in line for a book signing, and this one particular author was warm and shaking everybody's hands and giving hugs and all this stuff. And then I walked up and she didn't even make eye contact with me. And I was just sort of like, I always respected you so much. I didn't know you could turn it on and off like that. That was, but I guess we should have some compassion for these poor people. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like having to go all over the world and sign books. And, after so many hugs, you're probably done with the hugs after a while. Not that I needed a hug, but what I'm saying is just like I didn't expect it to be so opposite of what everybody else was getting. So, and there was another author there who, once I heard him speak, I had a different feeling about him, and it wasn't necessarily positive. So it wasn't until the end of the conference that things started to turn around a little bit for me personally. And that was when I got to listen to Bruce Lipton and Gregg Braden. And I didn't even know about Bruce Lipton at the time. And I'm so glad I got to hear his talk. But Gregg Braden was at the very end of the conference, and he was the game changer for me, because in spirituality, we're always talking about how to come out of our ego, how to come out of our intellect and go into our heart and stay there and stay in that really beautiful place, because that's where your compassion is. That's where your soul resides. That's where you're going to be able to relate to other souls. And nobody ever really talks about how to get there and how to stay there and what does that mean. So Gregg Braden pulled up this clip from, and we all smirked at this, from X Factor, and told us to watch it and to pay attention to how we felt and to hang on to that feeling for afterwards. We were going to do something with it. So we all see this beautiful story about this young man who wants to be a singer, and we learn about his story and what have you. And it's very touching, and really, it does really ignite your heart. And I'll remember to put a link to that clip below so that you can see it as well. But afterwards, we're all sitting there, and he asks us to sit silently with this feeling and to give it a name so that we can call upon it whenever we want. Well, the first thing that popped in my head was love. Call it love, capital L. I mean, I guess that's kind of like naming your dog, but it's what came up in my head, and so I just went with it. And what was really interesting was after the conference, I finally felt like, okay, that was the experience I was looking for. I was looking to learn something. And from Gregg Braden, I did. So I was walking to the subway afterwards, and I started to remember that for about a year now in my meditations, the name Emmanuel, for whatever reason, would pop into my head. And before I was getting ready to come to this conference, that very same name kept coming up in my head. And I didn't know what that meant. And I also got this association with love. Now, I'm a single lady. So I'm thinking, there's going to be love at this conference for me, and maybe his name's going to be Emmanuel, and I had better look cute. And so I made sure everything was all put together, and then I sat there and, I already told you about the sore back and other things that got sore. And so I was just kind of not piecing it together until I was doing that walk. And I remembered that I called that feeling love with a capital L, so it's a proper name. And the gentleman who was on that clip, whose story we had to learn about, his name is Emmanuel. And so I pieced it together that at this conference, I found love through someone named Emmanuel, and he helped me find my heart. So I'm telling this story because I think it's important. It was a big lesson for me too, to remember that when we ask for things and the answers come, they may not exactly look like what you expect. And I have a hard time with this too, but we have to let go of this expectation or any attachment to outcome, or we might miss the message. So that was the profound thing that happened for me at this conference, and I wanted to share it with you. And if you have any questions, just let me know.